Welcome to the 180 podcast, brought to you by Unibet, and joining me, Aaron and Reni. And we've got to mention at the top of the show, first week with Unibet, first multi, and the boys got it up. How good?
We got it up, didn't we?
We did.
Yes.
I was worried about my Warriors one, but I was worried about yours at one stage.
I went off early in the chat thinking I tipped the Dogs.
I know.
I thought I put the big mocker on
You
it.
forgot who you tipped.
So recap, what did we have? We had
Raiders. I had Raiders, and they were down 16-0.
Yep.
But to be honest, I still was confident. They just had no ball, no possession, and as soon as they got that, they covered the margin easy. I think it was 2.5. I thought it was like 8 or 10. I was going to sneak in, but they did it easy. You had Warriors with the start up against the Broncos, and you had.
But can I just say, big lift from you.
Yeah. When we needed him,
He showed
lifted.
up. He lifted. That's big.
You know,
there's a reason why I tipped the Roosters last week too.
You're an asshole.
it's like you went from Lapper A grade to first grade in 1 week.
Oh,
speaking-
when's your first game?
Yeah, no, I'm out.
He's out
I hung
already.
the boots up.
Oh, you didn't even last one game. What happened?
Torn lateral ligaments, syndesmosis. Yeah,
That's a cankle.
So
a cankle. It
can
doesn't
we
look
just
good.
how did you do your ankle?
touch footy on
With
the
kids.
sand Saturday.
And you wanted to play A grade?
Yeah, I did.
So there's no origin
the
appearance
boot-
this year?
The boots have gone back up.
Yeah.
They didn't even come down. They stayed up.
I wanted to see if there was a market for how many games you'd play, but unfortunately,
Yeah, it would have been short.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
there's no market now.
I know.
So you definitely gone for the
So-
season?
I'm out 6 to 8 at least.
6 to 8. Oh,
Watch this
6 to
space.
8 years you're out for. All right, let's get into the Good Friday, Ren. We went out to the Dogs South game. What a win by the Dogs, 65,000 or something like
it's
that.
crazy.
What about the atmosphere? It was a good day, wasn't
It
it?
was a great day. We took Mum out,
Yeah.
old Lenny, to Horse and Jockey Laundry Pub.
Yeah,
We stopped on Parramatta Road, didn't we? Had a good Chinese food there, a few beers.
it's beautiful.
Went in there, it was good.
When you off the drink again?
Yeah. No one on with him.
No.
Hang on. Did you,
I had a great wholesome
did you have a
weekend.
quiet weekend after that?
Thursday family, Friday family,
Yeah.
Saturday
Yeah.
family, Saturday night family.
Hang on.
But there
hang
was
on,
a bit of
hang on.
alcohol
What
involved.
happened Saturday night? Because you were
Yeah,
going
I
to
ripped
message
in.
me.
Yeah. You were going to Mimi's, mate. You
I
too
went
good
for
me.
lunch.
Yeah.
That was on Saturday.
I
And
wasn't
then you
gonna
said
wait
after
around.
lunch I'll message you and we'll catch up. And
Yeah.
I was looking at my phone thinking if he doesn't message me, he's on a bender. If he messages me, he's had a wholesome day.
Yeah.
And you're saying a wholesome day. But
It was
then-
pretty wholesome. It was with me brother.
Pretty
he was down
wholesome?
from Queensland with his wife.
Okay, so,
Phone may have died. Maybe.
so we're in
We
another AA
watched the
meeting.
footy, a few beers. You know, it's hard to keep up with you, especially after a Mimi's feed, you know. Like,
You can blame everyone else. That's what happens when you know,
I had a great weekend.
when you
Braith.
sit in that
I'm
meeting
sure
and you
had
try
a
to
great
talk to yourself about your actions. And,
weekend. I am ready.
I'm ready for tour. I did my ankle on the weekend.
And I'm an alcoholic.
I'm off the drink, but I had a bend with my brother, but it's okay.
It was a great day, wasn't it? You know, we got
I
to
went back there,
yeah. Let's move on.
It was, and let's talk some footy around that.
Yeah.
Dogs leading the competition 7-0, and the way they won against South was very impressive.
To watch them live and see their line speed live and you know their defence.
Yeah,
I thought they left a lot of points on the field though.
yeah, I think that's the positive they can take out of it. Like we were watching it close, obviously being there, and I don't even think they're at their best in terms of attack. Their defence is faultless,
Yeah.
but in terms of attack, and I said it on 360, I think they can improve in that area, and they probably will need to as the year goes on. South weren't on at all, but just the way they just strangled the hell out of South, gave them the opportunities. They had, they got plenty of strike power with Cody and Latrell and the likes and Jai, but they were just too good. But I think, one of the first weeks of the podcast, I said to you, we're talking top four, which we had them in. But I said, do you think they can win the comp? And especially with Sexton, because that was a big, around the DCE, and he's off contract too. So around the DCE time and the rumours that they were interested, and then we've had Galvin of late, but can they win the comp now? Are you convinced?
I still need more evidence. Given what we saw on the weekend and what they're doing, they've won 7 in a row. They're winning with their defence. I just don't know if they've got enough points in them. I know it was 32-0, right? But you come up against Melbourne, you come up against, well, let's say Penrith climb their way back in. Who's another Broncos? I just don't know.
I'll ask you as a quick way, and all I want is a yes or a no really quick. Can they win the comp? Dolphins?
No.
Tigers?
No.
St. George?
No.
Cowboys?
No.
South?
No.
Canberra?
No.
Raiders,
No.
Warriors,
No.
Sea Eagles.
This is very depressing, though. You know, people watching this are thinking,
No. But so let's.
Yeah,
but when you
who
think
else?
about it, Seagulls.
Yeah,
no,
No.
no.
Penrith.
yes,
Yes, I'm still
Sharks.
no,
Yes.
Okay. Broncos.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And then everyone else is like way out
Bulldogs,
of it.
yes. Melbourne, yes.
Bulldogs, yes. So like when you look at it, can they win a comp? Like how much more do you need to see?
Yes. I just thought, just watching them live, they left a lot of points on the field. And coming up against the Sharks or, let's say, Melbourne and Penrith, who they haven't played yet, do they have enough points in them? Defensively, they're great. But watching that game, I just feel like they're too much within their system. There were opportunities to pull the trigger, and especially around Latrell's edge, and all they had to do was get a pass to Crichton, and they would have pulled them apart. But they stuck to their system. They stuck to their guns. I get that. You got to find the balance between chancing your arm and playing within the system. They're playing too within a system with their attack, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, you know, what comes with experience in a season, within a season, is evolution, and that will evolve too. I think Cameron Serrato will be fully aware of what we're talking about, and you know, now they've got their defence on cue and perfect and the best in the competition. He won't take his eyes off that because that's his specialty, but he'll be looking to improve their attack, or not improve, I would say evolve, like I said. Like they'd be looking to sort of maybe have some trick shots as the year goes on, maybe play add another dimension to their attack. That they're very they are very basic in their attack but effective, and that comes down to the culture there and their effort areas and their also attention to detail, which is A+. So, you know, it's kind of one of those things where they'd be aware of it. They know they've probably got to get to another level with their attack, but they believe in that and they should, because they do have the players. I mean, you know, they do have the players. I think now I'm starting to believe more. I really think they can, and I think a lot of that comes down to, like you said, as you look at the other teams in the comp. You know, you look at Melbourne, who we'll touch on soon, and you know, they were flying because all their key players, 1, 6, 7, and 9, were all fit, and now all of a sudden they're not. So that brings them back to the field. Broncos just haven't kicked on like we thought they would, and they're down in confidence. Their execution's been poor, and they're kind of really inconsistent. And Penrith, even though they won on the weekend, is that a big turning point for them or not? So there's a lot to sort of pan out. And there's going to be teams. You know, one I'll go back on is the Raiders. I actually do think the Raiders.
Yeah, so do I.
You know, like I wouldn't write them off, and I wouldn't say no, they can't win a comp. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I think they are nearly behind the Dogs, probably the informed team right now after the weekend. Of course, things change, but yeah, I really love the way they play. And Fogarty, which is an interesting one, he looks like he's going to go to Manly on a 3-year deal because Canberra only offered him 2. Wow. You know, I just think for the Raiders right now, he's perfect because he's experienced. He's perfect for them executing a game plan. He's a steady head. You know, he's got those young, quick, fast outside backs and Strange in the halves with him. They've got a forward pack who really, at the moment, is close to the best in the comp.
Hudson Young.
And he doesn't overplay his hands, Fogarty. You know, he's that cool, calm, collected, you know, half that they really, I think he complements the rest of the team. So he's going to be a big loss next year, but this year it doesn't matter. They've got a team that I think can go all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. The more I think about it, and you're talking about their forward pack in particular, Hudson Young, Tapane, however you say his name, you know, perhaps he's getting older, but he's still producing good numbers and still effective, you know. Starling's playing well.
Yeah.
The English back rower.
Career best form, Starling.
They've got a team. They've got a great team.
All right, let's get this out of the way. Lockie Galvin, it's been massacred in the media, but for good reason, because it's a story that won't go away, and it's a big story, and people are interested in it. It's as simple as that. So I'd like to get. I mean, I've had my take on it on 360, Ren, and I'll touch on it at times here. But what's your thoughts on this situation?
This is so messy, and I'm over it. To be fair,
Yeah, I'm over it too.
but I don't.
It ain't going away though.
It ain't going away. I just don't see how you can turn up to training and play when you've got a court case against the club for bullying. Like, he's been named. Fair enough. They're a better team with you in it. I'm just really confused about whether he'll play this week. I feel like maybe the Lockie camp might say, hey, we've got this court case going.
So you're saying, because no one's had this take, you think he might not play? Or you wouldn't play him if you were in his
It
camp.
makes his court case stronger if he doesn't play. I feel bullied. I don't want to play with these guys who have put me on show last week. It's just, isn't that, don't you see that playing out?
I can see your point of view there, but Benji never said he wasn't coming back. He dropped him and said that he was actually protecting him from, the crazy week that he had, and then rocking up and the fans turning on him in a game and the booing and he's 19 years of age. So Benji kind of thought, just get him out of the limelight for the game, and he never said he wasn't going to bring him back this week.
Just from the
you know what? If he has been bullied and he feels intimidated, you're right. Why is he going to play then?
Yeah.
Why if he's struggling and it's really impacted him, why would he play? Why don't they stand him down?
From a court point of view, his case is stronger if he doesn't play. Because if he does play, the Tigers will say...
Let's be honest. The case is agitation to get him out.
Of course. We know that.
Like like as soon as I saw the post before I went on air on 360 last, I think it was Tuesday or Monday, I said bang. And I said it on air. That's all they need. They'll leverage this position and they'll leverage this post and they'll contact the RLPA, which they did, and they'll say that this is bullying and workplace harassment and they want to get out.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And that's what they've done. I'm not going to say that he hasn't been bullied because I don't know what's happened at training. Yeah. I don't know what's happened behind closed doors. We saw what Taruva
obviously put up.
We saw Taruva and Jerome's, but Jerome's wasn't bullying. Jerome's just saying team first. Taruva took it too far.
He took it too far.
And he also gave them an out. If that's what they're doing, he gave them an out. Yeah. And now here it is. They've gone to a lawyer, a high-profile lawyer. They're serious about this. And his last name's Moses. So there's lots of Moses around.
Is his last name Moses?
Yeah. There's a million of them.
I don't know how. I mean, if you're his QC or barrister or whatever he is, he would.
But do you think
SC they have now?
SC.
They changed it.
They changed it. We won't go there, but
S&C.
I just feel like they might say to that camp, it weakens our case if you play this week.
Yeah, but you got to play. You're employed by the club. You get paid to play.
We'll see what happens.
You'd have to go mental health grounds.
Yeah, right.
Which they're not.
I hope he does play. How do
you think that's going to be with them on the field, though? Like, he's calling for the ball. Luai's calling for the ball.
Yeah, the boys this week.
It's so messy, man.
Buzz came at me a little bit and said, well, you don't need to like everyone to play with them. You don't need to love everyone to play with them. That's true, but if someone's suing you in the club, it's very different. That's a different level. Most successful teams, everyone loves each other. I mean, we've gone through this on the podcast.
Respect each other.
You respect each other.
Respect.
There's got to be an element of disrespect there, and how can you kind of go to war with a guy who's taking legal action against you for bullying? It's. But I'll ask this question because I think. Do you think the Tigers have put him back in because they want him back in, or because of the legal ramifications?
I think it's the legal ramifications.
That's dangerous territory, isn't it?
It is. It's ugly. It is so ugly on both sides, on both camps. And I can't help it. But I can't help that. I think Richo started this by putting it out. Putting out that Lockie did not want to be with the club.
Richo didn't start.
Well, whoever put it out.
Richo pressed it because he was hearing that their camp were talking to other clubs and had already planned to leave. So he's like, well, let's rip the Band-Aid off, put a contract in front of him, a $6 million contract, and let's make him make the call now. He's either going to say yes or no. If he says no, we know he's never been here.
Okay.
We know he's never been. And that's what Richo's not silly.
I didn't know that information.
I've had my run-ins with Richo in the past.
Yeah.
But he's a shrewd operator, and that's why he's digging his heels in. Yeah, and he's been stoic. He's like, nah, we're not going to be trampled on anymore, this club. We're not going to stand for this shit anymore. And that's what he's doing. I love that. But that's what's happened, Ren. People can, if you just like yourself and I'm immersed in it in 360. I'm hearing all the journos 24/7. I'm hearing the rumours long ago that he wanted out, why he wanted out, all that. So when all the pieces of the puzzle start coming together, we know why, because we've been hearing this for a long time and we know who's behind it, and we know, and that's the difference. So Richo didn't force. He forced his hand because he knew what the answer was. And he knew. We all know what goes on behind closed
of course.
doors. Like it gets around.
Yeah.
And I think you'll land there. I think you'll land at Para. I think there's no doubt now that he'll land there. You know,
Either that or upper A grade. They're looking for a 5'8".
You're looking for a 6?
what do you? Because the Dogs have squashed it. They're out.
Look, I was surprised they were even looking at it.
Yeah. That was an interesting one, the Dogs one, because I'd heard they were definitely keen on him and from good sources, and then Gus came out and said they never were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think Parramatta's the likely club and probably
the
the
thing
best.
Is, mate, no one else wants to be, because the reason that the Dogs pulled out, they wanted him.
Yeah.
But they want
too many red flags.
They didn't want to deal with the situation.
I saw
and the management.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what this situation's done to him too, is that he hasn't got any other option really than Para. Not that it's a bad one. It's to play next to Moses and get, good money. And with Dylan Brown moving on.
In terms of development, do you think Parramatta's a good fit for him?
Well, see, people can't. This is like, that's why people question the move too, because he's saying he wants to move to be coached by a better coach and be developed. And I know Rolsey well, so I know, and I've had players underneath him, and so I know I rate him. I played with him. I think he's going to be a great coach one day.
Yep.
He's not there yet. It's his first year, but I can see how the Galvin camp could think that Rolsey's not a better fit, but like I can see how they would think that maybe if he doesn't get along with Benji and he doesn't like his style of coaching, then Rolsey, because a lot of people can't see that because they think Para's coming last, or I don't know if they are anymore. They're close to it, aren't they? But they're down the bottom of the table. They're losing Brown. They've got a rookie coach, and everyone's like, that's not a better option. That's not going up, or that's not a step up from the Tigers. And if you look at it from an optic point of view, it's hard to believe that. But one thing I will say is that I've got a big rap on Rolsey. So,
and his experience, like he's come through the pathways.
Yeah.
Then he's been with the Roosters. He's been with Melbourne.
Yeah.
So the experience.
Eddie Jones. He's been with Bellamy, and he's been with Trent Robinson.
And you've got the second best halfback in the game, or maybe top 3 with Katoa now the way he's playing. But him, Ivan, Cleary, and Mitch are the top 3 halves. So his development, he's going to improve under. Next to Mitch.
Yeah.
And but with someone that has
next to Jerome as well, though, and Nappy, and,
Yeah.
It should there. And this is the thing. It's like he must be really unhappy to disrupt where the Tigers have come from to where they are now, and the promise of this year and the way he was playing, the team was playing. This is going to I think it's going to derail the year.
Yeah. How do you want this to end? Would you get rid of him now or have him play out his contract?
I'd have him play his contract, yeah.
There's
nothing positive to get back from it. What are you going to get?
Yeah.
He's worth 300 at the moment. You can't even get a player in return.
Don't you think that the club's still a mess with him
I
anyway?
think to me, what will determine my decision would be how he responds this week by letting back into the squad, how he performs on the field, and how the team goes together.
Yeah.
If it's just untenable, we're going to see it firsthand. The whole world's going to see it. And the Tigers will be left with no decision other than to get rid of him.
Yeah.
For the best interest of everyone. But if he comes back and he can work within that environment and he's really invested into this team, it'll show. And then I'd just keep him there.
Yeah.
There's no advantage. There is no advantage of letting him go other than they get their own way and you get nothing in return.
Yeah, right.
Why would you?
Yeah, fair.
Or just to appease no, and they're suing them too. They're suing them. They're suing them.
Yeah, I can't believe
I say, sue us and we'll let him go.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
It's one or the other here, man.
Yeah, you're right.
It's an FU. Yeah, come and try and sue us. We've done nothing wrong. We'll take you on there and your play's staying.
Yeah.
Or it's, no, okay, we'll settle out of court and he can go.
Yeah.
It's going to be one or the other.
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah.
Great point.
You'll know if he's on because he might be catching a few up here.
No, he's the type of kid, from what I've heard, he's like a footy tragic. He lives and breathes it. That's why he had the dossier and everything. Right? He's obviously, he writes notes and he's just, and he's a goal setter and he wants to be the best. And I love that, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's a shame. It's a shame that he's kind of got the people around him at the moment for him to be in this position. But to me, that suggests that he'll be okay. You know, apparently he's not. You know, he kind of is his own man, goes about his business in his in his own personal space, which everyone's different, right? However you approach it, that's fine. But you've got to get along with your teammates. But you know, I think he'll be fine if he's a footy head and he's a competitive human, which he is, and he wants to win at all costs. Well, I don't think it'll matter. I think and it'll test his mental fortitude this week with his response.
Just quickly, how do you think the Tigers performed on the weekend, on Monday?
I reckon they could have won the game easily. You know what? Yeah, I think they got it wrong. I'll tell you where they got it wrong, in my opinion. They should have had Jerome at halfback and Dewey at 5'8" best. You know, Dewey's not a halfback. And some of those kicks and decision-making in big moments to start the game and finish it, were costly, really costly.
Yeah.
I would have had Jerome say, this is your team. You know, you've been big all week and strong with the team first mentality. This is your team. You run the show, mate. You get as many touches as you can. Dewey just plays second receiver either side of the ruck and floats, and you just do all the kicks. If you're under pressure tired, then Dewey can take some pressure off in your heat.
Surprising, wasn't it?
But you had Dewey running the team.
It's crazy.
No, I'm not being...
No, I know. He's a 6.
Yeah,
if anything, he's a 6.
It spun me out. And then the moment they did make that little run was when Jerome took more control. You saw that,
yeah,
right?
True.
And then at the end again, it went back to Dewey. And I'm like, what? And he put the shit little kick in. I'm like, the game was... And they scored the next set.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why?
That is poor coaching.
Oh, don't go. Nah.
He's gone there.
Mate, it's a good point you make, but he just got it wrong on the day.
Let's not go there. Taruva. He's like that.
That's in the dossier.
Taruva. Oh, he's had a shocker, eh? He's like that annoying little brother that just wants to be involved. He'll just wants to follow the leaders around like, mate, just go back to the wing.
One you had a quiet night with on the weekend.
Yeah. Just take your tough carries out of the backfield, Taruva. You're not going to defend in the middle when we've got bloody 12 on the field. I think man, you're better than that.
A player like Taruva, that's the way he plays. Like, he's got this...
The annoying little brother.
Yeah, but he kind of backs it up, right? But he's been at Penrith, right? So now he's come to the Tigers and they've had a good start and he's still doing this, but he's still producing. But then the weekend comes, he took it way too far. And he looked like a pelican,
he looked like a pelican.
He looked like a pelican.
Spot on.
And he's jeopardised his team for opportunity to win, And
they scored all those points in that 10-minute period, didn't they?
Yeah, he lost the plot. And everyone said, he always does it. He does it, but not like that.
Not like that.
He was going
It got
off.
to him. The media got to it. Not to the media, although probably the backlash for that post got
that whole week.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a camera on Lockie Galvin coming in the training on Tuesday and high-fiving Taruva. I couldn't imagine it.
Yeah. It's what's so ugly.
This was like Big Brother and we could watch it all.
Tigers should invest in this. And just
there you go. Next Netflix.
Have a live stream. You imagine how many people would stream that?
Tales of Tiger Town's back.
Yeah.
Bring Madge back too. Why not?
Should we move on?
Yeah, why not? You're the boss.
It's not that funny. Sorry. Jesus.
Sorry.
All right. Let's touch on a couple of the big teams you mentioned at the top who are, wouldn't say struggling, but question marks maybe. We'll start with the Broncos. You tipped the Warriors, which was a good pick. Now, watching that game, I thought they should have probably won it, and that's no disrespect to the Warriors. They had plenty of opportunities. Warriors were very good and massive underdogs, and it was a great win. I just think, Ben Hunt, my God, I respect him as a player. Like, he's been a great player for a long time, but that was one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. Like, wow. I couldn't believe what I was watching. And then he couldn't even pass. They moved him from the halves to dummy up.
I watched the highlights again.
And he just, he couldn't even pass it to the best, exponent of the field goal that we've got in our game in Adam Reynolds, who's in front. He couldn't pass it to him.
Wow. Yeah. What are they missing?
Ezra.
Yeah. What else is there?
This is like what we spoke about. Like Madge's biggest strength can be his biggest weakness. And that's what I fear because they can look so good because Madge can get them up and he gets them fit. And if they believe in Madge, they can win a comp. If they don't, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
And their difference between their best and their worst there's a lack of trust there still.
Yeah.
There's a lack of
I
trust.
agree.
They haven't bought in.
They haven't completely bought in, have they?
No.
They're going back to some old habits when it gets tough. When they get matched in the forwards, they're showing signs of weakness. And I don't know how Madge gets rid of that. And if they go on a bit of a losing streak here and Madge is still flogging them, then Origin, you know my point here.
Yeah.
They're going to miss out on top 4.
Yeah,
They need to turn it around real quick.
They could be on the edge of the 8 if they don't. And Buzz will be cheering because he tipped him to miss the 8. And I said he was an imbecile, but I'd have egg on my face because I've got him making the 8 still now. But I had him in the 4. A little bit
I had him to win the comp.
Yeah, you had him as your roughie.
Oh, you did too.
My roughie.
He's
My
roughie.
big outsider.
$8. Yeah.
They need to find form soon.
Yeah. And Reece, I thought Reece just had a cork, and I'm thinking, come on, buddy. I was a bit critical of him during the game, just to myself, not to anyone. I'm thinking, come on, mate. And then he did his PCL, so that justified his injury. But he hasn't been nowhere near his best.
Yeah.
I had him winning the Daly M this year, and I had them top 4 easily. That was my prediction, and he's just been.
He's very out of form, isn't he?
Which maybe we can talk about some Origin selections after this then, but that's something to think about as well. So yeah, they got some work to do up there. Let's go to South. South, yeah, they got obviously hammered by the Dogs there on Good Friday. Now. More talk about them with the big move from Latrell. So Bennett's made the call. He's putting back the fullback, Jai Gray to the bench. Just before I get to you on this,
Yep.
They've lost the last 13 against. Bennett's record against Bellamy. He's lost the last 13. They haven't won South in Melbourne since 1999.
I'm sure there's a fair few other teams that haven't won for a while or lost a lot in Melbourne against Bellamy.
In 16 years.
That's a bit.
Yeah.
When was it?
1999.
I did 9 that year. That just give relevance.
99. Yeah, I just finished school. Look, Latrell deserves the 1 jersey. Given Jai is playing really good, they're going to lose 300 metres to go forward now by putting him on the bench. I question. The big thing for me was Wayne's doing everything to cater for Latrell. They've put him at 6. And then last week, watching him defend at centre was a really big turn off for me. I've played a fair bit of 6. If you told me I was defending in the centres, I'd tell her to shove it up your ass. No, you've given me the 6 this week. I'm defending at 3 man. I'm going to do the best job I can. And you've got the best player in the team defending in centres. Complete turn off for me straight off the bat.
Yeah. You get into the game. Like if you're defending at 3,
I want to hit someone.
And you want to hit someone early, it gets you into the game with your attack as well.
Yeah. I don't like the trying to get K's in his legs or trying to save him here and there. If he ain't ready, don't bring him back. Yeah.
He's never been fitter.
He's supposedly the fittest ever, and he doesn't run much anyway at fullback.
Look, I'm sure it was a
Compared to
Wayne
others.
decision to put him in the centres, but I just thought, why? That's just no. Why?
Yeah.
Anyway, so putting him in at fullback now and putting Jai to the bench, you're going to lose go forward. That's for sure. And then where do you put Jai when he comes on?
Yeah.
Defensively, you can't put him in the middle. He's a goer.
lock.
He's got a big heart, but there's going to be a lot of metres around Jai when you put him into the middle.
Could you play him at 9, like
No,
speedily?
you play him as an extra half, extra fullback. Like you just have him in there. Like you just have him like a lock, like a fullback, like a half. He's just roving. He's just sniffing around. He's tired forwards. He's either support or he's running, getting a dummy half scoot. Like,
Yeah.
And then he'll get that quick play the ball for the other guys. Like he'll actually create ruck speed. Like he'll be fresh. Imagine him fresh.
That's why I said 9 when
Yeah,
you could come
so
on.
I wouldn't have him in a certain position.
Yeah.
Who else? I'm trying to think. I've got something in my head where another team kind of use a player off the bench in a similar style. Even with Origin, sometimes they got Grant and Hunt at the same time on the field.
Yeah.
True.
And they kind of, both of them are just floating around. There's one at 9, the other one's just causing
Did they do it with Connor Watson as well last year at New South Wales?
You're talking about a very small player. Like he's tiny.
He's tiny, yeah.
He's got a bigger heart than probably anyone on the field.
Oh,
But it's
No,
going
you
to
have to hide him in
You're going to have
defence.
to hide him in D, but where? It just gets a little bit clunky.
It's fascinating. These two are so different in play. Like they're going to have to adjust to their styles now because they are so different. Like Jai's 5 foot. He's like your height, isn't he? About 5 foot.
Aaron's height.
He's only Jai's 5 foot.
just under you.
What, he'd be 5'8", 5'9". Like,
Nah, he's smaller.
whatever he is, right?
He's 4'10".
That's not nice for Jai.
Sorry. Look, I've got a question. Lewis Dodd played a big 7 minutes, and now he's been dropped from the
He's been
side.
dropped again. He's taken up a lot of the cap. They're trying to.
Sorry, I just got a message.
Um,
Got a new iWatch.
Fuck, you're flying.
Sorry, Lewis. I was just had to take the message.
Look,
who comes in? Sullivan.
Sullivan.
Yeah, look, I don't think that experiment's over.
It didn't even
They
start.
didn't even
Experiment.
start. Well, they tried last
They
week.
tried that. Yeah, this will come out because South went and bought Lewis Dodd, and I know because
600 grand.
I was amongst it because they were
Remember
shuffling decks with Lockie, and I was getting information at the time from guys over in England saying, Braith, be careful, they're about to sign Dodd. And I'm like, who's Dodd?
I remember we spoke about
Yeah.
it. Could you?
So then I
Yeah.
rang Sammy and Willie Peters, Sammy Burgess,
Who's Lewis Dodd?
Mitchell Pearce. I shouldn't name these blokes, should I?
Yeah.
No, come on, it's all right. But they weren't critical of him, any of them. All they said, they all had the same opinion. He's a good player, Braith, but he's not the one we see going over there and transitioning into NRL, right? You've got to be special.
Yeah.
Like to do that, it very rarely
How
happens.
many halves has done it?
Not many halves have done it. So I'm like, well, this is weird. Like, South have flown over there. They hadn't even signed Wayne yet, and they've paid 650 grand.
650.
And then I found out that he was offered to the Roosters, Dolphins. There was a number of teams that they'd been shopping him to who all said no. But South went and signed him on that much money. They probably could have got him cheaper, I should imagine. Like, he wouldn't have, would he have been on that back there? I don't even know. Like, so it was such a bizarre thing. And that's Lockie aside. Like, I'd already, as soon as I found out, I rang the club and said, that's fine. We'll look to go elsewhere. You know, we're not going to hang around if you go on and buy a player that we believe isn't even as good as Lockie. You know, that's the information I'd got too.
Yeah, of course.
So like that. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. You know, you've made your decision. We'll move on. And I thought, but still, like Lockie aside, that's a bizarre move. And when Wayne's been asked if he signed him, he says no. So then, you know, you got Blake Solly and Mark Ellison making that decision.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. And then just going back, is it for them, because they started the year so well, that's been smothered. The fact that they've got a $650,000 player who they can't even make the team. You watch, if they continue to lose, it'll be brought back up. It'll be like
Well, Sullivan, where did he come from too?
they bought him after Dodd because they were worried about they got him from the Tigers.
Right.
Because
He didn't have a club.
yeah, and they probably did second guessing their Dodd decision as well. So they've had to pay even money for him. So Dodd's probably cost them. They could have bought $1 million halfback.
Yeah,
Instead, they've stacked New South Wales Cup.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know. No one's had that
it was
take.
crazy, and
He could-
because it's Wayne and the fanfare and everyone thought Wayne would get the best out of him. You know, and he may still do. So you got to be careful with this.
yeah.
But I'm just saying, what I'm trying to say is that as this year goes on, if they do start to struggle, you watch. It'll be like, well, what was behind this decision?
Yeah.
Like, who made this decision? And it'll be
got
interesting to
Reno
see who does take the credit for it. You know.
Yeah.
But it's
Interesting.
yeah. At the moment, it's okay because they're still going. They've overachieved already, considering the injuries they've had. But you know, as the year goes on, if they do, and I think they'll still find wins. Like they were off last week, but it's just an interesting one now.
Yep. Your team, the Storm. Well, not your team. You've got
You've
got Money Munster
my
there.
team.
Well,
Yeah, they're my
you've got
team.
2 players there.
Yeah, what does that mean? They're mine.
No. You've got good knowledge around there. You watch them closely.
Yeah, I do.
right?
I'm actually worried about them. Yeah, I think they're. You know, like I wasn't worried even though they're winning games and they were falling away back in the games, I wasn't concerned about Melbourne. I thought, you know, they're good. You know, they put the queue in the rack, and I still believe they did. They, you know, they got to such big leads and they took players off, and I wasn't concerned. But the weekend, as soon as Harry was out, I was like, oh no, that's a big out up there. Dolphins in a bit of form, confident. There's a lack of depth there. They've already got injuries. Then their centre went down. What's his name again? The big fella.
Howarth.
Left centre. Then Jerome went down with his injury, and then they didn't have the depth, and they didn't respond well at all. They were poor. And the reason they were clear favourites this year is because, as I said earlier, they're 1, 6, 7, and 9 were all fit. So I'm a bit worried about them. They got the Origin period coming up, which Harry and Munster and a couple others will be out.
16-0 up.
And then get trounced.
And then you get 40 points put on you. Like that.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
And
Unheard of.
Yeah, it is unheard of.
for a Melbourne side.
Maybe we'll talk about it in the preview more so than now because, I'm worried about them. I think, like a lot of teams, at the start when you said who can win the comp, there's so many teams with question marks over them where no one knows how they're really travelling and how they're gonna be or land in the next few months. Like there's only really the Dogs that have been consistent. Canberra, who else?
Sharks have kind of started
Sharks,
to find some
sort of,
form.
and there's a few other teams that have been good without being great.
Para was consistent. They're coming back.
Well, who knows with Para, right?
Mitch
We'll-
Moses.
Mate, how good? Yeah, Mitch Moses.
Mitch
Wow.
Moses.
which we'll get to.
Or what's one question? Did Penrith look like Penrith of old?
They looked very close to it. Yeah, that was a big difference. What do you think?
I didn't watch it close enough.
What night was that?
Is that Friday?
Friday.
Is it Friday night?
No, it's Saturday.
Oh, there you
I
go.
was there.
There you go. There's the answer. There's the
Move
answer.
on.
Move along.
Um,
But they did. They looked, so that second half, they looked like Penrith of old.
yeah, I think it will be a defining moment in their year. Yeah, I think that they make that run now, and even if it's not a run, they found their mojo. But they're going to miss players in Origin again.
Yeah.
You know, so they won't be where they were in years gone by, but that was a big step for them. Yeah, they needed that. Should we talk up Anzac Day or get into the preview? What do you reckon?
No, let's,
Anzac Day.
yeah, I want to hear it.
Huge day. Special day.
It's one of my favourite days of the year out there.
Yeah.
You've played in these games. What are they like?
Yeah, I have. It's a magical day. I don't want to just give the same quotes because everyone says it every year. I'm taking my mum and the kids out, which is really good. Everyone. I'm going to do the dawn service at 6. A lot of people do it, and it's a very proud day for our country, right? When you're kind of celebrating all those that have served for our country, past and present. So, the players throughout the week, we normally have people come and talk about their experiences at war or in the army. I know Robbo's big on that, and I'm assuming the other teams would be similar, where you bring people in to kind of motivate and tell the story of how it was and why it's so important to them this day. So there's a lot of responsibility as a player when you play that day. There's a lot that goes through your head. It's sort of like you think about your family a lot that week. Like it's quite emotional because when you get to the ground and you've had a big week already, you've had people come and talk, and you're fired up. You know what it means to them this day. You know what it means to the fans because it's always sold out. And then you stand there for the last post, and the plane flies over, and then it's the national anthem, and you're just standing there, and everything goes silent, and you're just looking at the crowd. You see your family, and it's like, wow,
Gives me goosebumps.
What a goosebumps thinking that then.
It's like this is why they took us to footy growing up, and this is the position you've wanted to stand in since you were born, and you're there.
Yeah.
But then you need to put the emotion aside, and then you need to deliver.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big day for a number of reasons, but it's very special. Like it's unique in itself because it's like a rep game, but it's not. So it's quite unique. Yeah.
What was your record like in them?
I can't remember. I remember like they're memorable games. We had a bit of an ordinary team there for a couple of years. I know that. I know one game I'll never forget. Richie Williams.
Williams.
He
So the Dragons.
is Dragons player.
Yeah.
And he came out and said I was over the hill and done. I think I was 26 or 7. And he was just some young kid coming through.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, you knob. He's put it because it's back page of the telly, and Astor's over the hill. And who is this bloke? Like I don't even know who he was. Anyway, I get into the sheds and Freddie's put it up all over and I've walked in going, fuck, how embarrassing, But I'm thinking, then it got angry, and I just attacked him all game. And I first scrum, I was like, I won't even tell you what I said, but I was into him. I said, I'm just coming, mate. We're coming for you all game. I'm too old, am I? Let's go. Like all game, terrorised him, and we beat him easily. That was obviously I'm going to remember this game, and never saw him again. So Richie, thank you very much. No, but that's kind of stuff. I remember that for that reason. We got beat with a Ben Cray try on the bell. under the
I
post.
do remember that.
That was I think it was a short kickoff. Even we had them, and there's been some epic. I remember the Matty head kick from the sideline, the Freddie Fittler left foot step when he was playing on Anzac Day. Like they're moments, just little moments in time of some epic games.
Was that Sully got knocked out last year? Or was that year before?
Last year, I was there.
Last year.
The start of the game.
Sewell
Just
put
clean out.
Yeah, on Jared.
Yeah.
Was it Jared?
And that was when Jared had the blood all over his
Yes.
face like that. I think we beat him by about 60 or something. It was
Sometimes the games have, like, back in the day, they were probably closer. Hopefully it's back to, like, if you look at both teams here, like I just looked at them before, they're very, like, close, you know, in terms of talent across the board.
Yeah.
You know, like you've got question marks over a few positions and still don't know where the Roosters are at and where the Dragons are at. They've been a little inconsistent, both of them. So it sets up to be a really close game. I can't wait. I'm heading out there. We're heading out there with Unibet, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, you are. I'll be in Bali.
You might have to do this one. Mate.
You better rock up.
Two up
Can we have
before
a
the
market
game.
whether he rocks up to this?
I'm not going to the game. Surely you can cover it.
Mate, two
I'll
up.
be there,
Can I
mate.
just?
I wouldn't leave you posted.
Rennie will be there. You'll see him in his beautiful BTFU
I'm not
shirt
wearing
playing
this.
a bit of two up.
I'm not wearing this.
Exact
I'm wearing
location
a Dragon shirt.
between gates 5 and 6. Meeting point between SCG and the stadium. Two up.
Okay.
1 p.m.
What time?
1 p.m.
1 p.m.
up.
between gates 5 and 6. Rennie, myself will be there. We're going to have some NRLW players. We're going to have some ex-Roosters players. We're going to be playing some two-up. May have a chat about the game. But Unibet, putting this event on, so come down and say hello. We're going to be there. Well, I'm definitely going to be there. Rennie will be there.
I'll be there in
I might
spirit.
be there.
Yeah, so it's a big one. It's the best day. It really is. So come down and join us. It should be fun. Let's get into the preview,
Into the preview.
and we'll do our multi at the end, huh?
We'll do the multi.
Finish
at the
off
end,
our
see if-
Anzac Day multi.
Anzac Day multi. All right,
You ready for this?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
We go up to Suncorp. We have the Broncos, $2.40 against your Flying Dogs at $1.57. Can I just say, whenever we're doing our little powwow, Rennie goes, I just can't see them losing a game till like game 18.
17.
17, was it?
Is it 17 they're playing Penrith?
Yeah.
They've got a fairly good run.
Yeah.
Don't they play Melbourne and Penrith at the end
Why
of
don't
the
you back them
season?
to be undefeated? There's a market, you know.
Can you lend us 50?
I'll lend you whatever you want, mate.
It's a
Always
pineapple,
remember,
mate.
please do it responsibly.
Who comes onto the wing for Cobbo?
Mariner.
So Mariner comes in now
Yeah.
because you've got
So you're at Stags and
Jesse.
Shibasaki in a sentence.
By the way, Mum, just shut up about Jesse Arthurs. I'm like, you're
She's
72.
got the hots for him, mate.
72 years
We're
old.
having lunch and she couldn't stop talking about his moustache and his free-flowing hair.
I was like, you right, Lynn?
Let it go, Lynn.
Lenny, Jesus. Look, I think this might strengthen their attack, putting Cobbo back to fullback. Walsh has been so off
Yeah.
that you've got a different person, different shape, I don't know, different body moving, and I just think he's so good running the ball. This game worries me because it's Suncorp. Everyone loves playing at Subcorp, but, you know, Brisbane, they've lost two. Madge is going to have them up for this game. They're playing a team that are undefeated. So this is the challenge to the Bronx. What he's made of. You turn your season around this Thursday night. It's a tough one. I don't have confidence I'm not completely confident in picking the Dogs, but I'll pick the Dogs.
The one thing you do say is Brisbane don't like teams that stand up to them. There's probably no team more in the
Correct.
comp that stand up in defence.
All right, I'm confident now. The Dogs are going to put 20 on them.
Oh, yeah. Paul Crawley brought up something the other night. I don't know if it's really relevant, but the only game they've lost this year was the trial against the Broncos.
You're right.
And they looked bad. I remember going, oh, shit. You know, it could worry me a bit about the Dogs, but it is a trial. It's hard to sort of take trial form serious, but there was obviously something there that the Broncos liked. They're a lot better now, the Dogs, than what they would have been then, and it's a trial. So it's hard to read into any form coming from it, but you never know. I can't tip against the Dogs with the defence the way that it is, and the Broncos, what they dished up last week. I know. I expect to bounce
It's a
back.
perfect challenge for them, though.
It is. No, I'm with you on the bounce back,
Yeah.
and we've spoken about that. We've got it right a lot. Like, I'm talking margins, you know. Like, I think it'll be close. It's not going to be a walkover. But I just think you can't. I couldn't tip the Broncos after last week, and I couldn't tip against the Bulldogs after last week.
Correct.
They're worlds apart.
Yeah.
And when the shit hits the fan, regardless of whether he gets them up or not, Madge, the Broncos have been going to water and the Dogs haven't. So if it's a close game and there's a bit of resilience needed there and a bit of trust, I feel like the Dogs are most likely to deliver and stand up. So I'll go the Dogs in a close one.
I love the Dogs. Just at halftime when they finished, they formed a little circle and had a little chat. Like they remind me of Penrith 4 years ago.
And just with the Dogs last week, like we said, they didn't play a hell of a lot of footy and can be better in attack. That was their game plan. I saw it in the sheds.
Yeah, it was their game plan.
So they executed their game plan to perfection.
All right. We go to the big Anzac Day test. Chookies $1.77.
Australia playing?
Anzac.
Roosters
Anzac
are a
Day.
test team in his eyes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here we go. $1.77. Roosters
test,
2.06. They call it the Anzac Test.
Yeah, I'm
Move on,
looking forward to
mate,
this
move
game.
$2.06 Dragons.
Zealand
We've got
play?
Dom Young has been dropped.
Who comes in?
Marky Mark hits
I
the
wouldn't have
wing.
dropped him.
Billy
playing.
Smith.
Hey?
Look, I was very happy with what I saw from Billy Smith, and given all these injuries, I think he's an outstanding player. He's so talented. This is a hard one for me to pick. You just explained it before. The two teams that are pretty similar on paper. What are you smiling at?
I don't know. I'm waiting for your tip, man.
Look, I'll go the Roosters in this one.
You want to phone a friend or come back to us a bit later?
I'm not. Yeah, Roosters.
Roosters? All right. Yeah, it's a hard one, man.
It's very
I think it's a good decision dropping Dom Young. Maybe needs a haircut because I think it gets in his eyes, those dreads, maybe.
Yeah?
I don't know.
I haven't been
That's
watching him
maybe
close.
an idea.
Yeah.
I feel like his positional play is not good. Needs to carry it harder out of his own end. He's great in open space with no one around him, but
So is As.
I'm not good over space.
he kind of. I'm being honest. He's killed me. He just frustrates me. He's so big and he's so fast, and he could be so much better. And I think it's got to be an attitude thing. It kills me every week. And I think he's a first grader. I think he can just be so much better. And I don't know what it is he's got to work on, whether it is his confidence. Or, how do you work on that? But like he's got to be better. So I'm happy with that. Mark, no one need to ask there. His defense has been poor in the centres. So it's good for him to be back on the wing and just have a decision to make.
Yeah.
Just one decision every set kind of thing. Not every set, but you know what I mean? It's a bit easier a winger than a centre. You follow your centre and you make the odd decision on the edge there. His attack's been great though. I really love him with the ball in hand. You can see his rugby skills coming out. Like he creates opportunities and he's a big boy. So you couldn't leave him out. And I wouldn't. I'd pick him, but I think it's actually and you talk about Smith. He was great 2 weeks ago, and they missed him last week, right, with the suspension. So, yeah, I think I kind of lean towards the Roosters in this one because the Dragons are just – but you know what? Like, he gets them up, like Fleno. They've won, 3 out of the – have they won 3 out of their last 4 or something like that, or 2 out of their last 4?
Yeah.
And the other 2 they should have won. They dead set should have. It's not, Heinz, like they should have won them. Like they massacred them. So, they're going to turn up and – but you just look at the firepower, and the Roosters have a little bit more firepower. What's the markets there?
It's $1.77 206.
Dragons are 206.
Yeah.
So I see that as good value.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll go against you. I'll go Dragons
Okay.
because I think it's a toss of a coin.
Yep. We go to Christchurch for New Zealand Warriors, $1.35. Newcastle Knights in great form.
New Zealand.
They can't score points. The Knights.
Thoughts on Kalen?
I watched that game. Is he trying too hard?
Yeah. But like in the years gone by, he saved them. Like they still have been. They've had ordinary halves, but he's created the opportunities and he's created space and his involvements have been quality still. And
But when you're not offering much in attack outside of Kalen, it's very easy to defend him.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it's sort of like he's got to a point where now he's probably getting over it.
Yeah,
just sick of having all that responsibility and sick of having to come up and deliver every week or else they're gone.
How long's O'Brien got left?
It's starting to. There's
And
a
I
few-
don't like having this sort of conversation, but you got to
No,
ask
but
the
we
question.
haven't. There's been no coaches under pressure because it's been such a strange year until these next few weeks. Now he's definitely under pressure, but I think they signed him on a long deal and they have to pay him out $2 million. I think the journos were telling me.
Okay.
And then this is all going to rear its head sooner or later, so you may as well go there. And then you even Seabold at Manly, mate.
Yeah. Those two are under big pressure.
And they've been sort of, and they've got this microscope over them already. Like people are already sort of all over that. They're probably the two coaches, but listen, you just can't tip Newcastle. Like how could you? They only scored points when the game was over last week too.
Yeah.
Yep. Warriors.
Yeah, and Warriors were very good against Brisbane. So
All right, we go down to Amy Park. This is an interesting one. You've got Storm $1.21, South $4.40. Let's go to you first.
all right, I think this is my one here. Yeah, I just said they haven't won since '99, right?
Wow. You going to go for this one?
No, relax, man. They haven't won since '99. Bellamy's got the best record against Bennett, but Bennett loves this stuff, right? Latrell back to fullback. Who else is in for South? Someone else come in, or am I tripping? Nah, Walker's been criticised this week about his performances. And then you look at Melbourne. I'm worried about them. No Harry Grant. Injury cloud over a few of the boys there. What's the start there?
The start is 8.5. Hang on, sorry, 14.5.
Yeah. I think that's. I like that this week. I think for them to pull off, I think South can win it. I could look like the biggest idiot ever, but I reckon South can win it this game.
Is this your faith in Braith?
The faith is the start, not the.
Yeah.
Oh no, because we've got to do the Anzac Day, don't we?
No. Your faith in Braith separate.
Faith in Braith, that's separate. Okay. Yeah, this is my faith in Braith, which I won again on the weekend, 6 from 7, so not bad. Yeah, I'll go them. I think them with the start. I just think I can feel it. I can feel a big week for Wayne. Very rarely has a few 2 off weeks in a row. He's kind of neither do Melbourne, but Wayne doesn't, and he knows how to get them up. He'll set a real big challenge this week. I think Latrell has been nowhere near his best, and if there's one day to do it, when you return to fullback against a team like Melbourne with a record like that, I can see it all coming into one.
I'm going to stick with Melbourne. Billy Ake doesn't have two poor performances in a row.
Yep.
Melbourne.
All right, we got up to North Queensland. We got the Cowboys $1.38, and we got the Gold Coast Titans $3.
Cowboys.
I'm going to go Titans.
Okay. Why?
Because I'm just going against you.
That was a really good in-depth analysis of that.
The Titans last week was 16-0 up and had all the ball and had everything go their way. They're just not there. And they got injuries with Campbell. Is he not back, you know?
Campbell, one sec. He is... No, not back.
Nah, yeah. Mate, they're in the hurt locker at the moment. I think if up in North Queensland, if they control possession and don't butcher it themselves, the Cows, they got too good of a team and they're actually found a little bit of form. I think they'll be too good.
All right. We go Penrith Panthers, $1.53 against Manly Seagulls. And this is at Combank at $2.50.
So this is where the home ground hurts Penrith, you know?
Yeah.
Like that. If this is at Penrith Park, it's over. That'd be $1.20 and you wouldn't even.
It's already in the bank.
You know, that's how much the ground makes a difference for them, which is a bit of a. I have to go Penrith. I mean, I think there's.
Tommy's
back. Tommy's back. Oh. I'm going to go Penrith still.
Yeah.
They're a different team with Tommy. They're a different team, but Penrith was really good on the weekend, and we just seen the first signs of the old Penrith, and I can't jump off after that. And Manly have been really ordinary.
They were poor last week.
You tipped against them, said this could be a defining moment when you tipped the Dragons.
I did, didn't I?
You said it's a defining moment in their season.
Yeah, I did. I think Manly could fall off a cliff this year, and last week was poor.
They got 1 foot over the edge. Their right edge was terrible.
Yeah.
In their attack.
Yeah, they were bad.
The cracks are well and truly appearing for the Manly. I can't go against Penrith. Penrith have got the monkey off the back. I just think they build off the back of that.
Yeah.
They go on a bit of a run now.
I reckon this next game could be an absolute cracker. We've got the Canberra Raiders, very in form, $1.60, and then the Dolphins, $2.33 off a huge win.
It's a great game.
This will be the game of the round, really. If you're going on form and in the style they're both playing too is very similar. Canberra and Canberra, that's what just gets them for me here. The Dolphins, went Isaiah Katoa.
Oh my God,
that was one of the best performances I've seen. Like not just at Clubland, right?
Yeah,
he's so special. Like he reminded me of Joey. Like even the slow play and the double pump and the deception,
hiding the ball,
man, and
wow,
and he's a threat to run every time.
Good defender as well.
Good defender, great kicking game.
Yep,
he's the complete package.
How old's Nathan? 28?
26.
26.
This iWatch goes off all the time. I need to put it on. So anyway,
very popular.
Yeah, he's the future. New South Wales. You could you play him at 6?
No, he's not ready now.
He's not far off.
Moses and Cleary. Oh, he's not far off. If they weren't there, you're just saying for sure. But he's behind a couple there.
So you're sticking Canberra. You going Canberra too? Catsbar?
I'll go with Canberra, but I love what I'm seeing from the Dolphins. There's
so
speed on the edge and that big Kerr, Josh Kerr.
He had a good game.
He's had a few good weeks, and I think he's realised how big he is.
I think this. Yeah, go on. Sorry, bud.
No, just his height and the size of him, and be able to get his arms free and a bit of leg drive.
Yeah,
he's been outstanding for him.
Yeah, this game's one where you just get the popcorn out and sit back and enjoy it, but you stay out of it though. You just admire it.
Yeah, I'm going to go Canberra.
All right, wrap up the round. Very interesting game. Leichhardt Oval, West Tigers.
Who bloody knows?
$2.85, and then you got the Sharks $1.42.
Because it's a Leichhardt, I'm going to go Tigers.
Well, this is going to go one or two ways. The Tigers could just turn one on, or they could capitulate because the Sharks are playing well.
Yeah.
If the Sharks sort of smell a bit of blood in the water, that was a good one. No, honestly, like if they get off to a good start, this is where the Tigers will see how much resilience they've got and how close they are as a group when the backs are against the wall. If the Sharks start well, it could get ugly. If they don't, the Tigers can win. That's kind of like that's why the start is pivotal. I think it's very important. Because of the unknown, I'm just going to go with the Sharks because I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen with the Tigers. I can't predict it.
Yep.
All right.
I'll go with Tigers.
Let's finish off with our multi.
Yep.
We're going to go Bulldogs. Excuse me. No.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
So I want who wins out of the Bulldogs game for you. You can use start if you want. And then we'll get the Anzac Day test out of you.
Okay.
And then it's into head wall in the Quokka.
Head wall. Good horse, that.
It is $6 in the Quokka. And if the two footy legs get up, I believe, and the horse runs second or third, you get your money back.
Okay. Can we just say that again? So
I believe if both footy legs get up and the horse runs second or third, it'll be money back.
Okay.
Up to whatever the amount is.
Head wall's the third leg. Third and final leg of the multi. What are you going to do? Where are you going with that?
So what's the Dogs paying?
The Dogs are $1.57, or they cover the 4.5.
Put that in layman's term. What does that mean? 4.5.
Will they win by 5 points?
Yes.
So you want so we've got Reni's taking the Dogs minus 4.5
over Brisbane. Yep.
At $1.90.
We got there eventually.
Yes. And you, Mr. Anasta?
With the Roosters Dragons.
Yes. You were leaning towards Dragons at the 206.
What's the start?
The start is plus 1.5.
Oh, that's ordinary. God. Well, if I've gone the Dragons, I have to stick with them. I see because it's not my faith in Braith. It's the Unibet one. I'll go the Dragons with the start.
All right, so Dragons with the start.
I have to take it because honestly, this was my hardest game to pick. It was a toss of a coin.
Yeah.
So I'll take the hit and I'll go the Dragons for the Unibet multi.
There we go.
Is that us?
That's us.
Enjoy. Where are you going this afternoon?
I'm off to Bali for a wedding.
Wow.
Ali and Johnson.
Yeah.
Huh?
MCing the wedding, actually.
MC Hammer.
Yeah, MC Hammer.
Put some people to sleep.
You've MC'd a few weddings?
Yeah, and never again.
Never again?
Nah. It's not one of my favourite things to do in life, I can tell you.
Did you ever wear shorts to a wedding, or will we not go there?
Let's not talk about weddings.
Sorry.
What are you prepared to lose today? Set a deposit limit. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.